Welcome to our Purposes Readers today, third graders. I can identify features of a realistic fiction. On the count of three, read that I can statement with me. 1, 2, 3. I can identify features of a realistic fiction. Well, what are features of a realistic fiction? You might have already guessed or predicted made-up characters. It is a made-up story with made-up events and characters that could really take place or really happen. Also, realistic fictions have illustrations that show about the characters, setting, and events. As we are reading this text, The New Hoop, we are going to be thinking about these three questions to help us to identify features of a realistic fiction. So our first question says, realistic fiction tells a story that could happen in real life. And the question asks, what in this story could you find in real life? Number 2, what text feature does the story have? Remember on our anchor chart, it said an illustration. And number 3, what details about the character or events does the illustration show? And the illustration is going to show events that could really happen, and we're going to look into the text to find our evidence. The New Hoop. Already by reading this title, I have identified a feature of a realistic fiction, something that could happen. Tell somebody around you what could really happen in this text just by looking at the illustration and the title. You got it. Kids could really play basketball together. And the title is The New Hoop, so maybe they create a new basketball hoop. Let's read on to confirm our predictions and identify those features of a realistic fiction. Marco gazed at the basketball hoop and threw the ball up. It whizzed through the air. Score! He shouted as the ball fell through with a swish. You won this time, but I'll beat you next time, Marco, said Kim as the two friends made their way home. I wish we could play at home, too, instead of only at school. It's not fair. The basketball hoop in their neighborhood park, had been ruined when a tree fell and crushed it. My dad says the parks department doesn't have enough money to buy a new hoop yet, grumbled Marco in frustration. I feel so discouraged, said Kim. I guess there's nothing we can do. Marco and Kim walked past the city's recycling center. They waved at the manager, Mr. Morse. His job was to separate the plastic, paper, and metal items people brought to him. He was transferring cardboard from an overflowing bin into large, empty containers. So before we read on, I've already identified some features of a realistic fiction as I was reading. What did you know that could really happen? Yeah, kids could really be playing basketball together and have a conversation about wanting to have a basketball hoop in their neighborhood. Let's read on. Marco stared at all the old stuff. That gives me an idea, he said. Mr. Morse, do you have anything we could reuse to make a basketball hoop? Mr. Morse picked up a plastic laundry basket. We were going to recycle this basket, but I think it's reusable. It looks useless, old and cracked, said Kim. No, it could be useful, said Marco. We can cut off the bottom to make a fine hoop, and then an adult can help us attach it to a post. Kim frowned. I want a new basketball hoop, she said. Not someone else's hand-me-down. Why? Wondered Marco. Reusing things is a great way to practice conservation. It stops waste. I guess we can try, said Kim, but I still don't believe it will be as good as a new one. They took the basket to Marco's house. His older brother, Victor, got some leftover wood from an old building project. Together they tinkered with the materials and made a post and a backboard. When Marco went to attach the basket to the backboard, he found his two cats napping in it. I see someone has found a way to reuse the basket already, he laughed. He let them sleep a few minutes longer. I noticed a feature of a realistic fiction. What did you notice? Yeah, kids could really go to a recycling center and think of ways to make a new basketball hoop. And I love that word that they use, conservation. So ways to stop making waste and to reuse and recycle. Let's read on. When all the parts were ready, there was only one thing remaining to do. Marco, Kim, and Victor took everything to the park. Kim helped dig the hole for the post, but she was still unsure. Next, Marco helped Victor ease the backboard and basket carefully into the hole. "It looks better than I thought it would," said Kim. "Here's the real test," grinned Marco. He tossed her the basketball. Kim bounced the ball, aimed, and shot a perfect basket. She was jubilant. "Wow, I was wrong," she said. "This recycled basketball hoop is really great. Now we can play whenever we want." "Yes, and I can beat you whenever I want," grinned Marco. "Oh, no, you can't," laughed Kim. The two friends played basketball until dinner time. So I'm thinking of those two features of a realistic fiction: made-up events and characters that could really happen, and the illustration that shows about the characters. So I see here two friends can really play basketball together. That's the made-up event that could really happen. And the illustration is showing how the characters play basketball together. So that's our text feature, and it's showing the event that's taking place in the text. Let's go back to our questions that will help us identify the features of this text. Realistic fiction tells a story that could happen in real life. What in this story could you find in real life? We're going to restate that question. Remember, third graders, we use race. Here's our restatement. We get those words from the question. This story is a realistic fiction because the events could happen in real life. Now we're going to support that with text evidence. For example, people could play basketball together. The illustration also shows a person in a wheelchair playing basketball. All of those details could really happen. Question 2. What text feature does the story have? Again, we're great third graders. We're going to restate that question. The text feature the story has is an illustration. So now supporting that with evidence is in question 3. What details about the character or events does the illustration show? We're restating that question. The details about the character and events that the illustration shows is that the characters and event could really take place. Okay, third graders, it's your turn. Good luck.